In the next two problems, we're going to look at a distance problem or a motion problem. And you want to remember how we go about setting up these distance motion problems. So a cheetah that is running 90 feet per second is 120 feet behind an antelope that is running 60 feet per second. How long will it take the cheetah to catch up to the antelope? So I'm going to start with my framework here, and you recall that we have distance is equal to rate times time. And we have a cheetah on one side. We have an antelope on the other. So let's see what we do know. The cheetah is running 90 feet per second. So we're going to have 90 feet per second for the cheetah, and starts out 120 feet behind the antelope. So we have to remember what's happening here is that the cheetah is starting out behind the antelope, and the antelope is going to run for a certain distance. In order for the cheetah to catch up to the antelope, the cheetah is going to have to travel that same amount of distance plus another 120 feet. So I'm going to write that the cheetah has to travel x plus 120, whereas the antelope is just traveling x feet. Now we also know that the antelope is running at 60 feet per second. So if you notice here, what happens is that there's nothing told us about the time, and we're going to assume that at the moment they both start running, there's this 120-foot gap in between, and then they're both going to be running for the same amount of time. That is the time it takes for the cheetah to catch up to the antelope. So we'll just put t here for time, t here for time. All right, so if I wanted to make an equation, I would have x plus 120 is equal to 90t. That would be one equation. If I wanted to solve that, and I'm going to need to solve it for time, by dividing both sides by 90, and we get that for the cheetah, the time will be x plus 120 over 90. Then let's go on to look at the antelope. The antelope runs x is equal to 60t, dividing both sides by 60, we get t is equal to x over 60. So what I want to do then is to set these two equations equal to each other, since they both have the same amount of time, or the t's are equal to each other. So I have x plus 120 over 90 is equal to x over 60. Now the easiest way to solve this particular problem, I think, is going to be using it is a proportion, two ratios, two fractions set equal to each other. So we're going to solve a proportion by cross multiplying. When I cross multiply, I have to be very careful. It's 60 times the quantity x plus 120, which will equal 90x. Now I can see that I have an equation with variables on both sides. I'm going to need to distribute, and I end up with 60x plus 60. 6 times 12 is 72. 60 times 120 is 7200. And that's equal to 90x. Normally I'm going to move variables to the left, but in this case I can resolve this issue simply by subtracting 60, and it'll only take me one step to get down to 7200 is equal to 30x, dividing both sides by 30, canceling 10 on the top and the bottom, and I get x is equal to 240 seconds. 240 seconds divided by 60 would be, or 4 minutes. Now we can try to make sense of this. It seems like a long time, but remember that a cheetah is extremely fast, but the antelope is also very fast, running 60 feet in 1 second. So if you notice, the cheetah speed is 30 feet per second faster. Alright, I'm going to take that back because when I look over at my table, x is a distance and it's not a time. So I'm going to erase both of those, and so I should have x equals 240 feet. So what does that mean? The antelope will travel 240 feet and the cheetah will travel 360 feet. The antelope travels 240 feet while the cheetah travels 360, or 240 plus 120 feet. Now, what's important here still, even more important still, is that the question is asking how long will it take, and how long is a time question, not how many feet will it take. So we still need to answer the question that is asked, and what we will do then is just simply plug x equals 240 into either of those equations and we will get a time back. So if we used on the left side, or the cheetah equation, we would have 240 plus 120 divided by 90, so that would be 360 over 90, which is 4 seconds. Alright, so it'll take the cheetah 4 seconds, but we should get the same value from either side because they're both running the same length of time. And since x is 240 divided by 60, we again get 4 seconds. And so the answer to the question is 4 seconds here. 4 seconds and 4 seconds. So we set up our structure there. D equals RT. Fill in the information that we need. Come up with two equations. In this case, since the time is the same in both of them, we're going to solve each equation for t, then set the two equations equal to each other. Solve them for x. When we do, taking care to note what the units of measure of x are, in this case feet, then plugging that 240 feet back in for x into both equations and solving for t, which is what we're looking for here. It will take the cheetah 4 seconds. So let me add that on to here. This takes 4 seconds. All right, we'll go on to the next example. So make sure you take some time to review this. This was a lengthy video, but it's very important. All of the steps that go into this are going to be crucial in solving these types of problems, which we will see again and again.